Con la mano en la chiquita. Con la mano.
So in life, you want to have, to me, when I go out somewhere, I want to have the vacation or the story that nobody else can tell. So if I'm in a place like Mexico, Oaxaca, for example, I'm going to try chapulines. If I'm in a place that's big on skydiving or skiing or something like that, I'm going to try it. Because in situations, you don't want to have the story that everybody else can be able to tell. When you come back from vacation, you want to be able to tell a story to your friends, your peers, your counterparts, and have them be in awe. And if they're not in awe and they already beat you to the punch, let's say, for example, you went to New York City and they ask you before you can even get to it if you've seen where World Trade is or the bridge is or Statue of Liberty, that's going to take more of the spark out of the story that you're trying to tell. So I try to do things that you wouldn't think of, so that way you can't be able to even predict what I'm about to say. Shayla, Guatemala has been one of the best places that I've been so far, just in my traveling in general. Shayla, Guatemala is a city that in itself is magic. The entire country of Guatemala is magic, but Shayla in just in specific is the heart of the Mayan culture. It was once a different country back in the days. It's basically the home of Mayan culture. 60%, I think, is of Mayan descent. So it's just a magical place for me. And it's the second best fried chicken I've ever had in my life. Well, I was always the kid that always saw the TV shows where the students went away to college or they would just be on a ship somewhere. You know, coming from Miami, I saw that everything was within reach. You go to the airport and you're seeing the plane for Air Jamaica, or you're seeing Brazil Airlines at that time. You're seeing them right there. So you're like, one day I'm going to get on this plane and I'm just going to go. So I always had that in me. And also, since the culture in Miami is so intertwined with the Caribbean and Latin America, you get that influence. To me, it's one of the only cities that you can get Cuban food for breakfast, Haitian food for lunch, Jamaican food for dinner. And it's all going to be different. It's cooked authentically, things like that. So you always see those people in your backyard. Your neighbor could be from, my neighbor, for example, growing up was from Peru. The guy across the street was from Haiti. Another guy was from Jamaica. And then a couple doors down, we had British people. So when you're coming in contact with all those cultures, your television, we had Telemundo, we had Univision. When you're coming in contact with all those things all the time, you want to see what's around the corner. I'm one of those people that if you drop me off on the street, I'm gonna walk around the corner because I just want to see. I'm curious. Never, never, never. It's a big world out there. You got to be able to explore every square inch of it while you can, because most people aren't blessed with the opportunity to be able to travel and do some of these things. That's why I say, like, if you're gonna do something, do it to the max. You know, Judge Mathis, I like Judge Mathis. He has a saying where he says, "If you're gonna pimp, pimp." It's basically if you're gonna do something, jump all the way out the window with it. Don't pussyfoot around with it because you don't have opportunities like that. If you're gonna be this type of person, go as hard as you can and be this type of person. So if I'm gonna travel, I'm gonna travel as hard as I can. Well, social media now is so broad that you can be able to touch any group. So you can pretty much go on Facebook and put in almost any city you're traveling to, put the word expat in the back, and you're gonna see a community. You have different apps. There's people in the street that just want to meet you because you look different. And it's a bad way of looking at a situation, but I kind of look at a situation and say, okay, well, if I get into this, can I get myself out? You know, it's like walking into a room and you're like, let me first know where the exits are. That's the first thing you check. So you're like, hey, if I walk into this situation, let me make sure I can get out of it. And that kind of delegates how far I'll go into that situation. And because of that, I met some amazing people along this journey. So that's how I connect with others. And also, for me, if you, like a little hint I would say is, or tip, you get into a cab, right? You ask somebody what's going on, they're gonna pretty much tell you all the touristy stuff. But then after you cut off of that, you say, hey, nah, I'm not trying to hear about that. I want to know about the regular stuff. I want to see local stuff. I don't want to see any tourists. And they'll usually take you. So, I mean, they're not looking for a setup situation or anything like that. I haven't been in that type of situation, but they usually take you around something that's fun, that you'll be able to enjoy yourself, that you'll be able to connect with other people. And also, because there's such a strong influence of Afro culture in certain locations that I've been, it's really easy to just walk down the street and somebody sees you and notice that you're also of Afro descent, but you're just from a different region or a different country, and they just want to connect with you based off that. So that really has helped me a lot in this part of my journey. Nah, I think that it comes along the way. Like I used to be really hard on myself about learning Spanish, and it what you got to do is just kind of take time to enjoy stuff, have the conversations that you would, but just that you would normally have, but just kind of try to do it in another language. People are gonna be patient with you when they want to hear what you got to say, and if you're sitting there talking about the weather and you don't care, somebody you might be talking to can understand. They can feel your body language and say this person is not interested in having this conversation, so they'll kind of not talk to you. But if you're talking about, I don't know, let's say football, soccer, if you're talking about it and they can tell that you're passionate about it, yeah, somebody will stop and try to listen to you and try to make out something. So I try to have, me personally, I try to have the conversations that I would want to have, but I would say going into any place, there's certain things that's just universal. Sports, dancing, the dance might not be the same, but dancing, moving your body is kind of pretty much universal. Having, some drinks at night or watching a game, it doesn't matter what game it is, because before I started traveling in Latin America, I wasn't a fan of football. I just could feel the energy from certain places. I've been in like the stadiums in Shela, Guatemala. I've been in stadiums in Oaxaca and well, to the baseball stadium in Oaxaca. And you can feel the energy. And the energy kind of made me a fan of the sport. So I don't think it's important to learn the language, but I think that it'll come along the way if you just be patient and take your time with it. Well, I find joy along this journey by not stepping too far out of character, being who I am, who I would be in the States. If I'm a person I'm a person personally who hits the gym. I'm gonna do that same thing, and I'm just gonna do it whatever country I'm in. If I personally like to dance, so I'm gonna go to a place where I can dance. Maybe I don't know how to do the specific dance, but I just like to move my body. So I stay centered in who I am, and just instead of hanging with crowds or people that I wouldn't want to be with in order to be able to kind of get brushed with the culture, I just do what I would normally do, and everything kind of falls into place from there. Like everybody that I've met, I've been just doing normal stuff that I would regularly do. I walk around the streets, I go hang out, I'm at the little Commodores eating, I'm at the bakery every morning, so I meet so many people and just stay in tune with who I am and just be normal, that it doesn't feel like it's a foreign place. It just feels like me. It basically feels like me being on another side of my town.